Good morning, Six Siegers. How's it going? Bear here, bringing you another Six Siege the board game video. Uh, Today's video is going to be, uh, kind of, in my opinion, the best defenders that you can bring to round out any team comp. This will be similar to the attacker or attacking staple picks that I did about a month or so ago. Um, yeah, this is just the defensive side of it. I will say before I dive into this, with the attacker one, um, I think maybe after some months when the physical board game comes out, I might want to actually revisit that because I've been able to play around with some of the other operators, and it's given me some other insight and thoughts and ideas about playing, as well as just like other operators that are really good. And I think that it'd be nice to maybe kind of fine tune um, my opinion and ideas on that, as well as just kind of see like if the meta shakes up at all. I know we don't have a whole lot of games going on, so there's not really a meta, but there are some things starting to slightly develop, which I think is good. But it'd also be really nice to see if that changes, and then see if I can be swayed to have other opinions about this. Um, but yeah, let's dive into the defenders picks. These four are some honorable mentions: Mute, Jaeger, Oryx, and Frost. You've got Mute, who's just the ultimate electronics denial. Uh, he's also really good. His close range is super great. Medium range falls off slightly. Haven't had like a whole lot of success, at least with his gun, but his ability is awesome, and he's got that orange destruction, which really helps. So Mute's just really good, assuming you're not playing against IQ or maybe even a Thatcher. Um, but his gadget's super good to deny drones, um, as well as like fortified entryway tokens from like the hatches, to be used from upstairs. Up next, we got Jaeger, who, similar to Mute, he's solely focused on throwables, which is also really good, and also the fact that his ability is a reaction rather than being proactive, kind of like how Wamai is. I think that that's nice. That can definitely catch your opponent off guard if they're not paying attention or if they're just kind of in the moment doing a whole bunch of stuff. On top of that, his gun is crazy good across all ranges, so just a super solid pick. Whether your opponent brings operators who have throwable gadgets or not. Up next, Oryx. I have found Oryx to be. He's very interesting. I've used him on a couple of my games recently. Well, a decent amount of games, to at least have an opinion on him. Um, but he's just nice. Like, if you bring him, I think that he has a similar effect for the defense that Jackal does for the attack. Um, where if you bring him, just the presence of him being on the other team or on the defender team, it it really changes how the attackers might play. Just for the fact that he can use those blue entryway spaces. And a quick call out, I was able to get confirmation from JB that with his ability, if it is activated, not only can you move to or from those attacker entryway spaces, but Oryx can also, if he's upstairs, he can throw a C4 on the attacker entryway space, or he can also overwatch it. But if he is overwatching said space, his token gets flipped over at the beginning of the next round, and therefore his overwatch would fall out. So definitely an interesting thing to do if the attackers have an operator or operators who are close to an entryway space. Maybe they're not in the best position. They'd like to go upstairs. You can use Oryx to kind of hold them off for a little bit. Um, but yeah, other than that, his close range is really good. Medium and long range kind of fall off. He does have the orange destruction, as well as the orange destruction built into his ability. But yeah, like I said, just his presence really affects how the attackers think and how they will play. Um, it does the same to me when I have to play against them. And lastly, just for my honorable mentions, Frost. The reason I have Frost here, on top of being an excellent trapper, she's got the good close range and medium range, but because her reaction uh, triggers off of opposing operators moving next to obstacles, in all of the bomb and hostage game modes on all the maps, those objectives are always next to an obstacle, um, which just makes her really good, in my opinion. It's one of those. If you with Capkin, if they move through the door window, they can do that early, and then you maybe can't really react to it later. You kind of have like that one shot, but for the objectives, that's where Frost is really good, I think. And I am pretty positive because the bomb is considered an obstacle. If I'm wrong, hopefully someone will correct me. But I do not think Frost can react to an operator moving next to the bomb. But if there's an obstacle, like a table next to it, she can totally react to it, but not the bomb itself. But if I'm wrong, somebody correct me. But yeah, those are my honorable mentions. There's definitely a lot more, which is also, as I mentioned with the attacking side, it might be something that I like to revisit. Very well could be the case for this as well, because the lists, my honorable mentions and my picks are not 110% the same as my initial thoughts. So it did sort of change recently just through some other games that I had played. But yeah, if anything, be on the lookout for that. That won't be for some months though, if I do decide to do that, because I'd like people to kind of get their own opinion, and then maybe we can have some good banter back and forth in the comment section. But yeah, let's dive into the meat and potatoes of this. All right, whoops. These are what I think some of the best picks that you could have on the defensive team. To reiterate, as I did for the attacking side, I'm not saying that you need to bring all five of these defenders together, but these defenders, in my opinion, help round out any sort of team comp that you may want to bring. Um, so we'll start with Echo. That's my boy. That's he. In my opinion, he is the best defender that you have because of everything that he brings to the table. He brings you those two additional deployable shields, which you can add more through your tactical inventory. You also don't have to. He's a trapper. He's the only trapper that his basically his ability can't be ignored. His close and medium range are super good. He's got that orange destruction. For me, Goyo is like the perfect anchor on any team comp. Up next, you got Mozzie. Mozzie, super solid gun all around, but also he directly affects the attacker's drones, which I think is really good. That's always going to give Mozzie something to do in every single game that you bring him. Um, he does start. I will just move these. So this is how he's supposed to start, with just the one charge cube, um, and then you get to take that from the attackers. And like I've said before, he's kind of good in both situations, whether your attacker brings no drone operators or if they bring a handful of drone operators, right? It's kind of like the less drones the attacker has, the better for Mozzie, because that's the less info that they have. But on the flip side, the more drone operators they bring, the more drones they have, also better for Mozzie, because that just allows him to consistently use his ability. But yeah, just perfect for gathering information. Next on the list, we've got Kaid, or Cade, however you pronounce it. Um, I have Cade on here. He has helped me in a handful of my games. Um, but his ability, the Rotilla Electroclaws, those are awesome. Um, I typically bring him, and I also recommend him if you are kind of worried about entryway spaces and how the attacking team might use them. Cade's perfect because his gadget has a red destruction. So Thermite, Ace, Hibana, Breaching Charges, those are the only things that you can deal with. In our games, kind of in our meta, not a lot of people use Hibana or Ace, so he is a very good like pseudo counter to Thermite and just anybody who uses a Breaching Charge. But also, he prevents drones from being deployed in those spaces, which is really nice. And the spaces can be moved to or from both sides, so that is good for the defense. Should you need to rotate, if it is near one of your defenders, like it's perfect. You can just move right through it. It doesn't hinder you going to or from. Um, his medium range is awesome. He is a heavy. He's got orange destruction. In my opinion, Cade is another really good anchor. Um, and I have used him as such. Get destroy any barricades or light walls that you need to in the early game, so that the rest of your operators can sort of rotate around the map. Um, Up next, Echo. So this is one of the changes that I made. Um, I love Echo uh, a whole lot in the video game, and then even in the board game. I've been using him a bit more. He's been very useful. So what I like about Echo, he is a heavy. That's kind of just the slight downside to it. But he also is a defender who utilizes the medium and long range rather than short and medium, which I do really like. But also his drone, right? So we pointed out Mozzie. He just gets to keep taking drones, which is nice. Uh, but the big thing with Echo is the fact that his yokai can stun all opposing operators in a room, which I really like. And again, the objectives, they're all typically, they are obviously all in rooms, which is really good if you have Echo set up good enough. He's perfect for kind of a site retake um, that, you know, I've been able to pull that off before. But yeah, it's really just the stun. It allows you, and even if you're not trying to retake a site, it's good at just allowing you to play a bit more aggressive. Even if you're not playing aggressive against an operator who does get stunned, you can easily use him, stun an operator or two who might be protecting another operator, and now you don't have to worry about taking any or even a whole lot of damage from said stunned operator. Um, Originally, I did have Pulse in this position, and I know I didn't include Pulse in my um, honorable mentions, but again, I could go on all day with these videos, and I would like to avoid that. But I just don't use Pulse a whole lot, um, and I've been using Echo more, and Echo just has a better feel to me, and with the times that I have used Pulse, maybe I've just played him wrong or not smart, and then I end up losing him, and I don't get to do anything. So I do think there's a world you could put Pulse in here. I really like using Echo, and again, the stun mechanic, we've touched on it before. Stun mechanic is awesome. It's one of the strongest things that you can use on attackers or defenders. And lastly, another change that I made. I do kind of forget who I had in this position, but I decided to go with Smoke. Uh, Smoke has good close and medium range, assuming the other team doesn't have cover. However, you can use Smoke's gas grenades as a way to move around so that you can get those optimal ranges and not be affected by the cover die. He also has orange destruction, which is good. And yeah, his ability. It's just smoke grenades for the defenders, which can always be very useful. Um, whether you are using it for him, there are some like sweet things that you can do with smoke. Just him utilizing his own smokes. Watched a game the other day. Buddy threw a smoke outside, and then he ran outside with the smoke, sat in his gas, and then he like tossed a C4 and got a kill, and then was able to like back off. Like it was a nice aggressive play. It was a sweet trade off in my opinion. Um, but yeah, like right, you can use his gas either for him. He won't take damage from it, which is really nice. Uh, Keep in mind you're going to have other operators, so maybe you do have an Echo or a Pulse or a Mozzie to locate an operator, then you use smoke for your gas, and then either smoke finishes off that operator or you have somebody else come in and do it. You know, he just has like a lot of applications. He's really nice in the upper area because then you can gas off neutral entryway spaces, things like that. Um, but yeah, this is this is my list. You know, I don't expect everybody's to be the same. These are all operators that I'm very familiar with and been able to use. Um, Things like that. If if you guys have any other ideas or you think there's any operators I missed, feel free put it in the comments. Um, Also, if you guys have any other video ideas, let me know. Not that I'm running out of ideas. I'm just, you know, don't want to pump them out as much as I have been. Um, but yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Six Siegers, have a good day, and I'll catch you all next time.